Ladies and gentlemen, this is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, coming to you tonight with another special edition of Hollywood's Hot Topics. And tonight, we got to talk about Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And the reason we're talking about Toronto, Ontario, Canada is because it was just announced over the last few days that the Toronto Raptors will not be allowed to play in their home arena for the start of the upcoming NBA season, which is 4 weeks away. So now the Raptors have to play down in Tampa Bay, which means that's going to be a whole nother situation of making sure wherever they're playing has, the appropriate logos and appropriate setup for an NBA game. And this is really bothersome to me because this is not the first time that it's happened this year. Literally days before the kickoff of the Major League Baseball season, the city of Toronto, province of Ontario, country of Canada, not sure who was fully making the decisions here, made the decision literally within a few days of the MLB season that the Toronto Blue Jays could not play their home games in Toronto for the season. And so Toronto had to scramble big time. And I should say the Blue Jays had to scramble big time. They were forced to have their home games in Buffalo, which was their minor league affiliate. And then they began to have some problems as this process unfolded, because their minor league affiliate, the stadium they were at, wasn't up to standards for MLB's televised games. I'm not sure what all goes into that, but it wasn't up to standards. So the Buffalo baseball field had to undergo upgrades just so the Blue Jays could have their games televised. And to me, I wouldn't have a problem with what Toronto is doing, or Canada, or Ontario. I'm not sure if it's city, province, or the country's government making the decisions as regards to the sports teams. But I wouldn't have a problem with it if Toronto wouldn't have had 12 teams in the NHL in that area during the NHL bubble. Now, I get the bubble is a completely different scenario and everybody's kind of locked down in one place. But you know what? Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, they're all billion-dollar sports organizations. And if you're trying to tell me they can't come up with a way to have like high efficient and high effective COVID testing for their players and their coaches and other staff members, there's a problem there. There's no reason why either Toronto basketball or baseball team should have been forced to relocate. With the billions of dollars that they try to invest in player health, whether it be physical health or mental health, there's no reason for it. Especially if the players aren't going out into the public and they're staying put after practices and games, then it shouldn't be an issue. I mean, well, look at baseball. Granted, every game this year was kind of a regional and divisional game, but they still traveled and they had rules in place that you were not allowed to go out after games. You either you went to your hotel or you went back to your home. And so for me, it'd be very easy for the NBA and for the NBA to do that. And maybe that's what the NBA has to do this coming season. Maybe they should split up things from a regional basis. So teams are traveling from one side of the country to the next. That's just an idea. I think it worked well in baseball. I honestly thought it was kind of fun in baseball because you saw a lot of interleague matches that you don't get to see. But as far as Toronto goes, I really feel because of this, the Blue Jays and the Raptors really need to consider moving out of Toronto. I mean, come on. The Blue Jays haven't had decent crowds since the mid 90s. Let's just be honest about that. Uh, you know, the days of Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar have long since passed. Um, and honestly, I think they would be appreciated in Buffalo. Buffalo's already a great sports city with the Bills and the Sabres. So, I think Buffalo would be a great move for the Blue Jays. As far as the Raptors go, the Raptors have had a lot of success, winning the NBA championship a couple of years ago. At one point, they had Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter on the same team, and that drew a lot of fans in. But you also players pay higher taxes in Canada, as far as I know. At least that's what I had read a long time ago. And you got to really ask yourself, does Toronto really care about basketball? Clearly, we saw that Vancouver did not care about basketball because they eventually left to become the Memphis Grizzlies. But I just think the way Toronto has treated the Blue Jays organization and now the Raptors organization over this entire situation, and I know it's a difficult situation being in the pandemic and, dealing with COVID and all this other stuff. But I just think that the Blue Jays and the Raptors deserve a lot better. They deserve a lot better treatment. They deserve, a city that's actually going to care about them and, care about their needs. And really, I mean, to me, if I'm a Toronto Raptors fan, why do I get behind my team this season when they're not even playing in my city? And that may sound a little ridiculous, but if they're not if they're not even playing at home, like why am I invested? That would be the question I'd be asking. And people think that fans are going to flock back to sporting events once this thing is over, and they're dead wrong. Because number one, a lot of people have taken a financial hit over the course of this last year. Um, it's funny because the average person is taking the financial hit, and athletes in every sport are getting paid more and more as each year goes on. That's evident in baseball, and it's been very evident in basketball, especially with free agency uh, over the last couple of days. So, here's the thing. If they want fans to come back, and if they want to make sure they have crowds when they come back, this is what I would do. Some people might not know this, but um, from what I have read, city taxes go up every time there's an arena built or a new arena built in that city. And so citizens, taxpayers in that city, people who work in that city have, their taxes go up because obviously somebody It's got to pay for the new arena. Granted, I mean, God help us if the owners ever had to pay for the arenas, they would just lose their minds. Um, but here's how you solve that problem. And I just had this conversation today with somebody about it. If you work or live in a city that has a sporting arena and your taxes go up because of that new sporting arena or stadium or baseball field, whatever it may be, if your taxes go up because you're a resident or you work there, I think your tickets should be discounted. I think taxpayers who are, paying for that arena to be there, even though it wasn't their choice, um, need to have some compensation there and have a little discount on tickets for that sporting event. The way I see it, if you want to jack ticket prices up for people who don't live in that city or don't live in that county or don't live in that state, jack the prices up. But as far as the locals go, they deserve discounted prices for their taxes going up for probably a venue that's probably unnecessary to begin with. Um, so keep in mind, um, keep in mind when things do go back to whatever normal is going to be and fans don't start showing up right away. It's because, number one, probably not going to want to take a chance with their health for a sporting event. And number two, they're probably not going to be able to afford it because, as I said, a lot of average people have taken a big financial hit this year. So, again, I know this is really not about Toronto, but it got me thinking about it and thinking about how we should treat fans, how we should treat um, people that have to sacrifice things in sports. And right now, the Blue Jays and the Raptors have had to sacrifice a lot because Toronto couldn't find a way to make it work. And to me, if I were the fans of the Blue Jays and the Raptors, I would be furious. I would be upset. It would probably be a long time before I went to another game of theirs, even if things were normal. Because you just don't do that. Like, I'll give Toronto, Canada this. At least they gave the Raptors a month to figure it out, and it sounds like the Raptors already had a backup plan to begin with. But as far as what they did to the Blue Jays back in the summer, only giving them like 5 days notice to find a new place, I thought that was weak. I thought that was shallow, and I thought it was pathetic. And like I said, I personally think the Blue Jays and the Raptors need to find new homes. Personally, myself. I mean, Nashville's out there and they're wanting a Major League Baseball team. I'm sure some city that doesn't have a basketball team, like a St. Louis or a Tampa Bay, as they're headed to, or um, Las Vegas. I mean, Las Vegas has already got a hockey team and a football team now, so those are all viable options. And I really think that, like I said, the Blue Jays and the Raptors need to consider getting out of Toronto and going somewhere where they have better fan bases and somewhere better where the city is going to support them during the difficult times that we're under right now. I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. Probably people in Canada mainly. But I don't care. I think the way Toronto has handled their sports teams outside of hockey is garbage. And there's nothing you really can say to convince me otherwise right now. So, again, it's time for the Blue Jays and the Raptors to move out of Toronto. So, with that being said, my name is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports. Feel free to check me out on hollywoodsworldofsports.com, as well as my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook. That's where I'm the most active with my sports discussions. I'm on Twitter, somewhat active on that with sports discussions. Obviously, you're watching this on YouTube, hollywoodsworldofsports.com, where I write my in-depth articles. And yeah, just feel free to chime in and let me know what you're thinking. As always, um, remember, controversy doesn't come without criticism.